Hello and good evening and welcome to Don't Stop the Music radio show. My name is Peggy-Sue and I am your host. Now the song you just heard there was called Hold It, and it was actually by my guest this evening, and my guest this evening is Ruzz Evans. Hello Ruzz, how are you?
Hello, doing very well, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, I'm good. Now tell me a bit about that song, because obviously it's a really nice instrumental. I was boogieing in my seat, so I'm sure other people were boogieing too. So tell us a bit about it.
That's an old instrumental by a guy called Bill Dockett from America. It's one I stole from one of my guitar heroes, Jimmy Vaughan, though. And we started playing it 2019, I think, and it just kind of evolved into what you hear on that track. And that was recorded during our first proper show back from all the lockdowns last year. It's just a great warm-up track. I really enjoy putting it first in the night, and kind of it's that start as you mean to go on, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you've got that really good, cool rock and roll cross blues vibes there.
Yeah.
So is that your inspiration for behind all your music? Is that more what you're into, or are there every other influences? I got many influences. I listen to a lot of different music as much as I can, but it's primarily blues, swing, rock and roll, sort of music from 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s soul, kind of like Stax soul, and that's the basis of what I do. It's what I love most, so it's yeah. To be fair, I was brought up in 50s, 60s music, have to with my name. So
yeah.
So I know exactly what you mean with that style of music. And how have you found it? Because obviously a lot now is more poppy and more rock and things like that. Yeah. So how have you found the audience? Have you found them very receptive to it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you come out and say that you're a blues band, it can be difficult to get some people that aren't massively into it to commit to come to something until they've heard you. You almost got to force it on people, and then they realise, you can dance to this. And it's the kind of stuff that they recognise because it's been on in films, adverts, and so they've grown up with it, but they might not necessarily choose to listen to it. But I found that once we've started playing in front of people that haven't heard us before, they tend to stay up dancing the majority of the night and then come back and see us again. And so it's not too bad.
Good. No, that's really good, because obviously, as I was just saying, the way music has changed over the years, it's nice to know that there are still the original bands like yours, where you've got the blues and the rock and roll style and the swing. So it is quite nice. And in fact, I think swing's sort of making a comeback anyway. I know my boy, who's 24, he listens to a lot of swing music, but it's modern music, but done in the swing way.
Yeah.
So
I think it's coming. There's some sort of resurgence coming back. There's always been a blues scene and a rock and roll rockabilly scene. The rockabilly scenes and rock and roll scenes they're doing all right, I think.
Oh, they definitely are. They still have loads of shows, especially like in Chippenham and places like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. The blues scene is if you're a blues rock band, you can do very well in it. That's as far as I'll say with that. But no, it's definitely on the up, kind of underground. But yeah, I can't complain too much.
So if our listeners, if you've got any questions or comments that you would like me to pass on to Russ, you can text in on 07900171453. Or if you're listening via the app or via the website, if you click on the envelope where it says contact us, that would come straight through to me here in the studio. So please do message in. Now, the next song I'm going to play is Mine or Mine. So tell me about this one.
Okay, yeah, this is a song I wrote back in 2015, and I recorded it as a demo for a first CD to get a few more gigs when I started my band as a trio. And it was just something I wrote in 5 minutes before going out to the final rehearsal before recording. It's one of those songs that is, for a while, it wasn't one of my favorite ones of mine because I spent no time on it. But it's one that people in the audience seem to respond to and pick up because the chorus is very catchy and it's easy to pick up the lyrics to sing along. So it's turned into quite a crowd pleaser, I guess. And then adding the horns and stuff on, it's made it a bit more enjoyable for me now. But yeah, it's I'm happy with it. So
Well, this is Mine or Mine.
She's always on my mind. You haven't got this girl, and she's always
So that was Mine or Mine by my guest, Ruzz Evans. Now, Ruzz, I was just saying that type of music, it would fit lovely into Blues Brothers, or even maybe a third one. Perhaps we should get you pushed in and get you to do a third one.
I wouldn't say no.
Have you ever thought of doing anything that would link it to a film, TV, or even games?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking. I'm always trying to look into getting my music onto film and TV and stuff, but it's finding the right places, I think, and waiting for the right opportunities to come up. But yeah, no, that's definitely on the front of my mind to try and sort out.
I say that would definitely. I can just picture Dan Aykroyd. I know it was John Goodman. Was it John Goodman?
Oh, no, Belushi.
It was James Belushi in the original, but obviously he's passed. He's passed. So it was in the second one. I think it was John.
Yeah, John.
Good.
Yeah.
Was it John Goodman?
Yeah, Goodman.
Yeah, it was Goodman. Perhaps we could get them to come back and do a third one with the lad now all grown up as well, and get your music in there. Get you playing in one of the. Get them all dancing along the streets like they did with Ray Charles and stuff. Yeah, just do that. There we go.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Now, speaking about that type of music and stuff, what's your favourite type of venue to perform at? So is it like the pub gardens or the little festivals or a Glastonbury? You never know, you might get Glastonbury. And on one of the stages there. And also, or is it the nice little pubs, the nice, what I call the little dingy rooms where they're dark, but they're definitely more intimate?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I just love playing it wherever we kind of get booked to do it, especially with the horn section. I've done a few gigs at the Cheese and Grain in Frome, and that's always a really good night. It's great to bring it to festivals. And then we play, we've done a few gigs with the kind of more full lineup at the Old Duke in Bristol. Yeah. Now that's a good one because it's not a massive place and it fills up fairly quickly. That's a really hot, full-on night. So yeah, I enjoy that. I'm just happy playing wherever we can get a gig for the band. I'll go.
So perhaps we should need to do a shout out to all the people who are doing the organisation for the rock and roll times they do in Chippenham at the Olympiad. You need to come and book them, or also. I won't say their names because I do know a few of the names. For the people who organise the ones that go to Great Yarmouth, you also need to book and get the people up and dancing.
Yeah.
So how did you find it? Because obviously we mentioned earlier about lockdown. How did you find lockdown? Did you manage to get some practice in, or did you write some new music?
Yeah. We managed to use the time to learn to record from home and mix and master from home. So myself and my sax player, Michael Gavin, wrote a bunch of instrumentals and had players from the US and the UK all recording and being part of it. And it kept us all sane and helped me and Mick keep things moving forward and be able to come back after lockdown with a bunch of new music and still be progressing. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for anybody, and it certainly wasn't easy for the live music scene because it was just. I felt it was one of the last things that was on anybody's mind to try and help bring back. It was very difficult, but we seem to be kind of out the other end a bit more now, and live music's coming back fairly nicely. So.
It definitely is. I think the Ed Sheeran concert showed that on when everybody trying to get to Cardiff on Friday. Yeah, we were coming home from a gig on Friday. I think I can't remember where I played now actually, but we were coming home, and we got stuck with loads of it in the services and stuff. Oh my word! Yeah, I haven't missed that. I'll tell you that. That is the only thing, isn't it? But yeah, definitely with the music coming back. I say, I know Ed Sheeran was on last week. I think the Killers were on in Bristol as well.
Yeah.
So I know a few people who went along to see them, because I think Manic Street Preachers were also supporting the Killers.
Blimey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot more music coming up with bands and people all singing and all these shows now coming up. And obviously we've got Glastonbury as well in June.
Yeah.
So there's just so much going on. It's just really, really nice to have live music back. And so speaking of the live music, do you have some more booked? You got some gigs booked that our listeners can come and see you at?
Yeah. So on Thursday we're playing the Bathroom West show in Shepton Mallet.
Nice.
On Thursday afternoon. And then through June, we're playing in Devizes at the Saddleback Festival on the 18th. And then at the end of June, I can't remember the exact date. I want to say it's like the 24th. I've got a trio gig at the Rollston in Swindon.
Oh, the Rollston, yeah.
Yeah, that should be a fun one. I've played there quite a bit over the years with various bands. It's always been a good gig, so looking forward to that. We're heading back to Frome at the start of July to open for Andy Fairweather Low at the Cheese and Grain as well. Mm-hmm. So that should be a good one. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of our stuff's on gigs and stuff's online, so it'd be fairly easy to find where we are. But yeah, we've got a fair bit over the summer.
Brilliant. That's really good news.
Yeah.
I bet you're so glad to have all those booked, and your band is as well. So
yeah, I'm sure.
When it was lockdown, did you find that did you do any lives? Did you try to do lives like on Facebook and that, just to open up your audience? Well,
we did one. We did one in August 2020 when things were opening up a little bit. We went into a rehearsal room in Weston and did a live feed from there with the 4-piece. But other than that, I tried not to, because I mean there were so many people doing it.
Yeah.
It just at one point it just felt, for me personally, a bit oversaturated. And I thought, I don't want to get involved in this. I'll leave it to everyone else. But I'm a lot more happy playing with the full band rather than doing anything on my own too much. I mean, since coming back from lockdown, I've had a couple of gigs where I've played a song or two on my own, but they're mainly instrumentals that kind of break the band down for one or two numbers at the gig and then build it back up. But to try and do like 30 minutes on Facebook Live or wherever on my own, it's like, oh, I don't know. There's other people that can do that so much better. So I'll leave the space to them and just kind of focused on writing music and recording it from home, and then putting a couple of free tracks up through 2020. And then at the start of 2021, I did a video series called RG Sessions that, again, was musician friends from the US and the UK that we all kind of, I'd start off a guide track and they'd record their parts and film themselves doing it and send it to me, and I'd put the video and the track together and then put that out for people to enjoy. So we did it that way round, rather than the live streaming. So then not that there was anything wrong with this live streaming, but like I said, there was other people that could do a better job than I could, so I thought I'll leave that to them.
But then I suppose also with the live streaming, if you've got people who are collaborating with you, then it's easier to do what, as you said, they record their bits and put it all together.
Yeah.
Whereas live streaming, you get the delays.
Yeah, yeah. And unless you've got all of the equipment beforehand to be able to have a really professional sound and video setup, you're pretty limited to what you can do with it. And I spent quite a while trying to build the band up to kind of what it is now, and I wanted to keep pushing at that and bringing that to people, and the only way I could think of doing it was, like I said, getting everyone to film their parts and record their parts separately and put it together as a video for YouTube. And it went down well. People seem to enjoy it, so I'm happy about that. It gave me more practice for recording, and
it's ideal.
Yeah.
So the next song I'm going to play of yours is Back Home to Stay. So
Cool.
tell me a bit about this one.
Again, this one was for the album The Heist that I did in 2018. We were recording one day with the trio, and we just came up with this backing track, and I was going to put lyrics and build the horns and stuff around it. And this one features one of my dear friends from California, Tommy Harkenrider, on guitar as well, who's just an incredible West Coast blues player. And he's really helped me with California and kind of opening up my audience out there.
Oh, excellent.
So it was great whilst he was in the UK to get him in the studio and get him on this track. And lyrically, I mean, it was just some lyrics that kind of sprung to mind. It just felt like a happy track. And I had a few on the previous album. I had a few kind of more angry feeling tracks, I guess you could say, lyrically. So I thought, no, this one needs to be a bit happier. And these are just lyrics that came out for it. There's not too many of my lyrical tracks are actually like honest kind of life experiences from me. It's more kind of, well, in this genre, this is kind of what is normally written about, and I've got a gist of what, where to go with it, so I can try and capture that. And that's basically what this one was. It turned out great.
Wow, here it is. So this is Back Home to Stay. Are you a talented musician? Would you like to get your music heard on the radio? Whether you're a singer-songwriter, are a covers band, a tribute band, or an originals band, then please message me, no matter what genre of music, via my Facebook page, Don't Stop the Music Radio Show. Or you can email peggy-sue.ford@swindon1055.com and get your music heard.
If you're into jazz and blues, check out Jazz Break, 9 p.m. every Sunday evening here on Swindon 105.5 with me, Len Morphew. And if you miss that, you can catch the repeat every Friday morning at 2 a.m. Be great if you could join us.
So you're listening to Don't Stop the Music Radio Show here on Swindon 105.5, and I am joined live via Skype by my guest, Ruzz Evans. Now, Ruzz, I've also got you down as Ruzz Guitar's Blues Revue. So tell us about that little name.
Yeah, so Ruzz Guitar is like the stage name I go by. And the Blues Revue is... When I started the band, I played in rockabilly bands for years and some blues bands, and there was always moments where I wish that I could do something else with it musically to bring in other styles or variations on certain genres that I really loved. And no matter what band I was in, there was always some kind of restriction. So if you're in a rockabilly band, you can't do certain blues stuff because it's not appropriate. Not knocking any of the bands, but it's just when you're in that scene, you can't do a more kind of soulful, grooving, B.B. King-esque blues number, and you can't put out some big Ray Charles kind of jazzy blues number in the middle of a rockabilly festival. And then vice versa with some blues bands, you can't put out kind of more rockabilly, country-esque kind of stuff because it's just some of those bands and the venues and stuff. It's just, again, not quite appropriate. But I love all of that stuff. I consider all kind of Americana music. So when I started the band, it was I wanted to call it a Blues Revue. And there's a few people that have done it as well, and some of my heroes have named bands with the Blues Revue written in it. But I kind of see it as it's a review of music that's come from the blues, and in a review as in the old school 60s soul reviews where you would have like the house band going out with Otis Redding or Aretha Franklin. They'd have a list of different lead artists, but that band would back them. Yeah. And it was the same idea with this, is that it's all different stuff that's come from the blues and having blues music in it as well, which is everything that I love. And to be able to put that all into one band, and it's just, I mean, for me, it's worked perfectly. It means I can play a gig and I can do like a Texas shuffle 1 minute, go into a B.B. King-esque kind of funkier groove the next, and then straight up rock and roll after that. And it all works beautifully together. And again, it helps to make the live gigs more of a show rather than just a couple of hours of bashing out loud music.
We've just had a text message come through, so I'm going to.
Cool.
I'm just grabbing the phone as I speak to you. So let's open that up, and it says, "Hi Peggy and Ruzz, John Payne." Hello, John. Thank you for listening. It's refreshing to find someone that can play the blues rock like you, reminiscent of early Gary B.B. Coleman, Blues Brothers, and Robert Cray, Smoking Gun. Awesome guitar playing, by the way. Yes,
Thank
John,
you.
I have to agree with you on that, definitely.
It's nice to hear someone mention Robert Cray as well. That's another favourite of mine that you don't hear too often from people. So thank you for that, definitely.
There you go, John. You've got your thank you. But it is, and again, he's mentioned Blues Brothers there, and that was when I first saw your name when it came at Ruzz Guitar's Blues Revue. That's all I could think of was them going round with their big microphone on their big megaphone on the the car, and they're going, "We'll come and watch the Blues Revue."
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what the Blues Brothers films were. They were a review in that 60s sense of it, of music that has come from the blues, and trying to bring it to an audience that may have forgotten it, or may not have been aware of it. I mean, you only got to watch the film or listen to the stuff to hear them go between like Sweet Home Chicago and then there's Soul Man. So again, there's two completely different styles, but they fit perfectly because they have that bass in the blues. So I mean, and I grew up with the Blues Brothers, so I think it was definitely ingrained in my head at some point that was gonna happen, but. Yeah, it's funny that it's come across.
It has, it has come across, and it's so nice because you're talking about it, and and that's all when I listen to your music, that's all I can picture is the Blues Brothers. And it's really nice because it's one of those films I can watch over and over again, and I don't get sick of it. And it's because there are films that you like, oh, I'm not watching that again, I've seen it too many times. But Blues Brothers is one of those that you can have on repeat, and you can.
Well, I've always said it's one of my all-time favourites. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and then especially when you can go along and you can sing along to like Rawhide, and again, it's a different type of music. You've got the Rawhide, and then you've got Minnie the Moocher. So it's really, and of course Shake a Tail Feather. You can't forget. Yeah. And then as you just said as well, Aretha Franklin. Then you've got to do Think.
There you go. Yeah, I mean it just says it all. It's all music that's come from the same place, and it all just works beautifully together. I mean, and like I said, that's what I'm trying to capture, kind of mix in. I call what I'm trying to do big band blues, essentially. So it's blending big band influences with the horns with blues based music, which there's not too many people doing it at the moment.
No, there isn't. You are right there.
Which is, again, why it's one of the things I keep thinking is that there's not many people doing this, so I'll do it. And there's songs that I think to cover that hardly anybody's doing, so I think, well, that's a reason to do it, isn't it? It's keep it alive and at least try to anyway.
Well, we have had a message come in from Chloe. So hello, Chloe. Thank you for listening. And Chloe's emailed in. So she's used the contact us button on the website, whereas John Payne texted in. So you can text like John on 07900 171 453, or you can email in using the website or the app with the contact us envelope. And Chloe has actually said, I was thinking, what does your music remind me of? Then you said BB, and I thought, oh yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
It does bring back the memories for people.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's what I want.
Now, the next song I'm going to play is Baby Please Come Home. Now, this isn't Blues Brothers again, is it? Because obviously they did a song that's Come on, baby, won't you come? Is it Baby, won't you come on home?
I think
that's Sweet Home Chicago. It is. Yeah. So it could be.
It's definitely the same kind of lyrical idea. Yeah. Yeah. No, this one's again. It's one I stole from one of my absolute biggest guitar influences, and here is Jimmy Vaughan. Back in 2019, he put out an album called Baby Please Come Home, and it's just the first track on it. And as soon as I heard it, it's like, I'm having that. That's awesome. And yeah, we got the horns in on it and started playing it for a couple of about a year and a half before lockdown, and then brought it back once we came out of lockdown, and it's been a staple in the set since. It's just a great Texas shuffle, and yeah, can't beat it.
Brilliant. Well, here it is, Baby Please Come Home.
Home. I'm sick and I'm all alone. I love you, I miss you so. How much you'll never know. I need you, that's why I'm blue. Come home, come home. Oh baby, put it down and stop your running around. Bring it on home right now. I don't mean no after a while. I need you, that's why I'm blue. Come home, go man. how long? Or must I sing this song? Oh, you stop this third degree. You know, baby, it's killing me. Yeah, I need you. That's why I'm blue. Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
A well-deserved deserved round of applause there at the end of that song.
Thank you.
So do you have any shout-outs at all? Maybe to the other band members?
Probably there's so many of them. Because I've always said I don't have like a set band. I have choice musicians that I go between, and they're all kind of session sort of musicians. So I mean, if any of them are listening, thank you so much for working with me for so long and putting up with me. I really appreciate it. But yeah, it's and then like we were saying behind the track, like anyone that's listening that follows me already and supported me, thank you so much. I really should go live on Facebook and stuff a bit more regularly and chat with people and thank people personally. But please, I do see every comment, every share, like, and the support really means the world to me. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's quite nice. Now that song, obviously, "Baby Please Come Home," is actually from your new album.
It is, yeah. So back at June last year, when we were setting up to do our first gig after lockdown, we decided to record the show and film it for promotional purposes, so that we could start pushing it out to more festivals and getting the word out a bit more. And some of the clips that I was putting up from the show, some of my followers were really enjoying it and were asking if it was likely to be a CD release. So I put the new skills to the test that I'd learned over lockdown to mix it, and we put this out in February of this year, actually.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, and it was recorded at the Cheese and Grain in Frome, which has become like a home to us now. We've done so much there over the years. And yeah, it's been great. It's probably my favourite album to date. The band sound killer on it. Everyone played incredibly. We've got some special guests, Pete Gage and Jerry Tremaine feature on it. So it's quite a welcome back from lockdown. I feel for us and for our followers that came to the gig. I think everyone was itching for the night. I was. It was months since our last kind of small gig in the August of 2020. So, I mean, I was certainly itching to get back out and do the show. But it definitely comes across in the album, kind of the energy with everybody that was there and that played it. So yeah, I couldn't be happier with it.
Brilliant. Well, we've just had another message come in. Again,
cool.
It's from John Payne again. So hello, John, again. It says, do you prefer Gretsch guitars? Did you know that George Harrison and Malcolm Young from AC/DC used them?
Yes, and yes. Yes, Gretsch are my guitar of choice. When I was growing up and learning, one of my ultimate heroes is Brian Setzer of the Stray Cats, but it was the Brian Setzer Orchestra that did it for me. That I heard that first, and that hearing a Gretsch guitar fronting a big band, like a 17-piece big band, it blew me away, and I wanted to capture that for the longest time, which is, again, it's what I'm aiming at with the Blues Revue, is that kind of sound and feel. But it was a Gretsch guitar. That sound just resonated with me. So I've been a solid Gretsch nut for years. And yeah, I've got a Gretsch Black Falcon that I solely play. I've got other guitars, but as soon as that Falcon came in, everything else just was put into retirement pretty much.
So the next song I'm going to play is Soulful Blues. So tell me about this one. So
this is one I wrote with my sax player Michael Gavin during lockdown, and I was listening to a lot of B.B. King at the time, and this chord structure just kind of jumped out at me. I was listening to a couple of his songs, and it's very much based around that kind of slightly grooving B.B. King feel. And we just slowly built the song up. I came up with the main melody, and then we put the horns to it, and it features Greg Mitchell and Chris Smith on bass and drums from California. And then I think it's Michael Gavin on saxophone, Jack Jowers on trumpet, and then myself on guitar. And it's one of my favorite instrumentals that we wrote during lockdown. It's just got such a great feel to it, and it's so nice to play it live, because it's different from a lot of the other stuff in our set. So it really helps to keep everything interesting for us. But yeah, it's, like I say, it's one of my favorite ones, definitely.
Well, this is Soulful Blues.
On stage. Thank you.
There you go, another round of applause at the end there. Now that one is slightly slower to all the other tracks we've played this evening. So yeah, you can see the nice soulful. So is that one of the ones you normally go to the end of the night with?
It depends on the gig. It depends how many sets we've got. But I mean, the majority of the time, that one is kind of towards the end of the first set if we're doing two sets.
Yeah.
Because it's not too slow, but it helps to just kind of ease everyone down a little bit so that we can bring it right back up for the end of it.
Yeah.
That one seems to go down pretty well live.
So I have a question that if you could collaborate with anyone, who would it be and why?
There's the two guitarists I've already mentioned, definitely. So Brian Setzer and Jimmy Vaughan, just because of the sheer influence on my music and guitar playing kind of as I've grown up. To be able to collaborate with those guys would be incredible. I got a few other musician friends that are heroes of mine that I've become friends with that I have my radar set on them to ask them to collaborate on some stuff. It's just when the right time comes along.
Yeah.
But for kind of guys I haven't met yet that I would love to work with, it has to be Brian Setzer and Jimmy Vaughan, definitely.
Nice. Now, we are coming up to the end of the show, so how can our listeners find all the information about you and any gigs that you've got coming up so they can come and see you?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those places. If you look up Ruzz Evans, you'll find me on Facebook. The band website is thebluesrevue.com, and that's review spelled Revue. Or just Google Ruzz Guitar, and it will come up with the majority of my pages and YouTube and all those places. I'm fairly easy to find.
And obviously Ruzz is Ruzz.
Yes, yeah.
So we're not saying it wrong. It is Ruzz, not Russ.
Yeah.
For the listeners out there who are wondering why we keep saying Ruzz.
Yeah.
Because you never know. They might think we're saying it wrong.
Yeah. Well, I've had some American friends that have thought it was Ruse because of the way they said they say Z.
Yeah.
Because they say it's Z out there. So for a while, people were calling me Ruse, which is fine. It's still right.
It's still
just,
right.
Yeah.
Just pronounced differently.
Yeah.
Well, the song we're going to end with is Spag Mambo. So tell me the little story about this before we play it and say goodnight to everyone.
So this is another one I wrote with my sax player, Michael Gavin. Again, we started writing it before lockdown came in. And once lockdown started, we thought this is a great time for us to actually just sit down over the internet and really construct it. And it started out as a spaghetti western track. The main riff, the opening guitar riff that I have was meant to be like a kind of a Dwayne Eddy feel instrumental, and we were talking about trying to write a mambo track, and I thought, why don't we just change this riff into a mambo feel and then build a track around it. And we just, whilst we were recording it, we just named it on the files Spag Mambo, just so we can remember what it was. And it was the spag of spaghetti western and mambo for the feel of the track. And it just stuck. And when we came to trying to name the song, we were both trying to come up with all these different Spanish words and phrases. And in the end, we were just like, you know what? We already know this as Spag Mambo. We've been talking about this for months as Spag Mambo. We might as well just leave it at that. And that's it. It stuck.
Brilliant. Well, this is Spag Mambo. So thank you so much for coming on the show this evening,
Thanks
Russ.
for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And all I have to say is good night, everyone, and enjoy this track.